Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Happy Sunday. It is a beautiful, sunny, hot day here in South Florida, and I wouldn't rather be anywhere else but here in the air conditioner in my office talking to you, beautiful people, about the Karen Reed trial, the trial that keeps on giving. I hope that everybody can hear me okay. Please let me know in the chat. If not, but this is a trial we have been following since last year, and it has become so much more than just a court trial. It is a real fight against corruption. It's a movement of free speech for creators, for journalists, and even for the defendant who has spoken out. It's not common. The defendant is talking, and it's an absolutely incredible turn of events continuously when we think we know everything there is to know about the Karen Reed trial. Somebody says, "Hold my beer," and testifies to our awe, right? And we're just like, we have to stop everything and talk about it. So I am just so happy that you guys are here today. I want to welcome everybody who is new. And if you are already a member, welcome back. I love having you guys. Words cannot describe what your support means to me and how it keeps me motivated. If you're new, you're going to love our chat. Our chat has wonderful people and we become very close here. I read most of the comments. So it's good that we are kind of a small channel still because then everybody gets to participate. And if you finish the video and if you're in the middle of the video and you enjoy the content, please make sure to subscribe, like, leave a comment behind, share, do all the YouTube things that can help the algorithm to suggest the channel for more people so that I can stay motivated and make more videos like this. So enough of this. Karen Reed, guys, it's almost over, and it's unbelievable that we are looking at one, maybe two, maybe 3 weeks for the trial to be over. We still have the defense to finish their case, maybe about a week, and then we have the rebuttal from the Commonwealth, and then that's it. It goes to the jury, and we don't know how long that's gonna take. So please tell me in the comments, what are the main factors that stick out to you at this point? If you are pro defense or pro Commonwealth, what is the main thing that makes you think that way? And also, what is the witness that makes you feel a little worried? If you're a defense, if you're a pro defense and you think, well, but that witness said this and that kind of worries me, please let me know because I like to keep a very open mind and be able to see from both sides so that we can check out our blind spots. I am definitely not guilty here, absolutely pro defense on this channel. So that's my bias. I already tell you that is how I think. I have that bias. But I do think sometimes, oh, the Commonwealth made a good point here. Maybe the jury is going to see it this way. Some people might feel this way. And I think that's very valuable, especially when you are in the defense team, and because it helps us to not only think one way and be able to close any gaps for the people who might be thinking, oh no, I want to convict her. Okay. So here we look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and hopefully we can spread some light with a touch of sense of humor. And I told you guys I was going to work on a closing statement. So we're going to go over a little bit of that today. We're going to go over a little bit of ARCCA's testimony as well, versus what we heard from Dr. Welcher and Shannon Burgess from the Commonwealth, the battle of the experts, right? But before we get started, I want to acknowledge all of you and also say that if you want, you can become a member of the channel. This is not it. This is Whisper. I'm going to bring him in a second. But you can become a member of the channel and we have some perks right now. We get special shout outs, special emojis. And as we go forward along, we're going to do member lives as well. We just don't have enough people for that right now. But please consider becoming a member or receiving a member. If you want to receive a membership, just make sure your gifts are turned on because we always have gifted memberships here. And also I want to give a special shout out to Karina, the lady in the pink right there on the bottom right, who is amazing. She helps me so much. She keeps me motivated. She does all the things. She shares, She's constantly advertising on other channels about my channel, and she is a channel moderator here, and we all love Karina. So hello everybody. Hello, hello. Uh Store Norway, Scotland, all the way from Scotland. I am so happy that you were here in the chat. Hi, Otto. Finally, Otto, you are here and you caught a live. Otto is always in the comments and she's always watching as a replay crew. Ask Bob, my great friend from Canton, Massachusetts. Good to see you here, my friend. Ask Bob. Uh, Thank you so much for Clerk has the blueprints. Bianca has the blueprints. We'll see about that. Thank you, Lucinda. Leanne, sorry, no, not sorry. Good to see you here. Eileen Taylor, good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. And we got Lori Kowalewski. Okay, I hope I got that right. Saying good afternoon. I'm in the not guilty camo. All right, all right. So I'm gonna read those soon. Let's just start with. Oh, before we start, I also want to show you guys. I had two doggies this week that I was dog sitting. I was watching them, and two Cavapoos plus my dog, who is this little beautiful white Maltese. So I want to show you guys this. I want to share with you this real quick to make you feel a little more joy. You know, looking at puppies and music always makes me feel happy. So
Been good all the time.
aren't they cute? That was my whole week. Dog and child. So that was my week, guys. Lots of doggies, lots of doggies. I loved it. Hold on, let me just do one thing here with the not legs. I just want to do the volume, and I guess I had to lower my laptop thingy. So sorry for that. You guys saw some legs. So, anyways, guys, lots of great comments here. I love it. I love it. I love it already. We got TJ White saying there are way too many issues with this case. Missing video footage, inverted videos, edited, blurred videos, no witnesses that saw or heard an accident, the injuries don't line up, etc. Yeah, so this is all reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt. That's what I would focus my closing argument in if I was the defense. So let me share with you guys now this other slide. Defense's mock closing argument and see how we would get, close to what we are all seeing here, right? The reasonable doubt, the reasonable doubt, the reasonable doubt. So we ain't got no quits. Good morning, jurors. We ain't got no quits. Just kidding. I would say something like very, very simple. I want to thank you on behalf of the defense team and Ms. Reed for your time and diligence in here in this case. I will now guide you through the charges, the evidence, the jury's form, and with a focus on reasonable doubt in the end, you have a specific guide to complete the jury's form. And we, the defense, believe you should declare Ms. Reed not guilty of all charges. Here is why. Okay. Remember, guys, last year, when the judge sent the jury for deliberations, they came with the conclusion that she was not guilty on the first charge of first degree. We'll see the charges, that she was not guilty, and they were having doubts about the second charge. But the judge did not ensure the jury had the form completed and signed. She did not pull them. And there was confusion after the trial to whether they thought she was guilty or not on each count. So I think it's very important for the defense to make sure they touch on the jury form. They tell them exactly how to complete and everything. Okay. So then I would say so this is the first charge. Okay. First charge, it's second degree murder. I would say, jurors, in order to select guilty for the first charge, and I will show you guys the jury form in a moment, of second degree murder, you must believe the three things below. You must believe that all three things have happened. One, that she caused the death of the victim. Number two, that she had malice. This means that you must believe she intended to cause serious bodily harm or knew her actions would create a strong likelihood of death, and also no premeditation. The killing was not planned. She wasn't home planning beforehand. But you must believe she caused the death with the SUV, and you must believe she had malice. If you don't believe she had malice, if you don't believe the SUV caused it, it's not guilty on the first charge. Okay. So we're going to go more into detail about the first charge. Um, Also, I would emphasize the fact that Brennan, he as the Commonwealth, has the full responsibility of proving this case to you beyond a reasonable doubt. It is not the defense's responsibility to prove that it didn't occur. It is the Commonwealth's responsibility to prove to you that it has happened. So, number one, that he has died. The only thing that we believe that Mr. Brennan has proven so far is that he has died. We had the ME testify, but she also had reasonable doubts. She produced an autopsy and a certificate of death showing that he died. Okay. But that the defendant was the cause of the defendant caused the death with her SUV. We heard a lot of testimony on this possibility, but also on many other possibilities. Therefore, if there are alternatives in our minds of how this could have occurred, that is the definition of reasonable doubt. We heard from Dr. Russell, we heard from the ME that the injuries could have been consistent with a fall, consistent with a dog bite, consistent with a blunt object being thrown to the back of his head. Therefore, that is the definition of reasonable doubt. We don't know exactly what occurred. Dr. Welcher himself, who was a Commonwealth witness, said, I'm not sure how it happened. So Mr. Brennan had the burden to prove the above, in addition to all of those other charges. That Miss Reed acted with malice. So we ask ourselves, how did he prove that? That she meant and intended to cause the death. How did he prove that? Has Mr. Brennan produced sufficient evidence for the jury to convict her on this claim? Um, and I would say, to the contrary, the defense produced a witness and video directly demonstrating the affection the couple shared in the evening in question. Okay, so if she was intending to kill her boyfriend that night, why would she be kissing, hugging, and just showing affection? It just doesn't add up that she would have any malice. So on the first charge alone, all three things get debunked right away. But we're going to go over them with more detail. Okay, let me just read some of your comments, because I want to make sure that you guys are very involved in the conversation here. Because this is an ongoing closing argument, mock closing arguments, and I want to get your feedback so that I can tweak things, add, delete, etc. Kelly Cow says, you have to be a good teacher to be a good trial attorney. Bianca's teacher totally comes out here. Let me show you what you should think and why. Yes. When I was little, I used to practice teaching like to myself, and that's how I would study. I'd be like, okay, guys, let's see this. There was nobody there, just me. Okay, don't call anybody, guys. I tell you. Otto, it just helps me to process and think. Otto says, I also wish they would say that 3 liters of blood would have been found. The blood was in the basement. That's why they dug it up and remodeled it and then sold Home Alone with Chloe. Okay, but the thing is, Otto, I don't remember that testimony. We have to try everything in the closing argument has to be part of the evidence. It has to have come in a manner of report, testimony, video, pictures. It has to be part of this trial. So this is something I am also having a difficulty with, because as I'm writing the closing argument, I want to write stuff that hasn't come in yet, that I hope it does, or that has come in the last time. So we have to make sure, and I don't recall anybody saying 3 liters of blood would have been found. And if they have said that, please let me know who, and I will try to look for that. Um, mm, mm, mm. Ask Bob says Jen testified she left 34 Fairview at 1:45 a.m. with her husband, Levinson and Nagel. They saw nobody. Lucky plows at 2:30 and saw nobody. None of the guests saw a body. Karen connected. Okay, 12:36 a.m. Yes, I have the 12:36 in the slide. I don't have all the other items, so I will make a note. Let me do like a screenshot of this. And then when I go back, I want to emphasize, when I go back to creating the slide, to editing, I'm going to make sure that I confirm, because we do have that into evidence. We do have that the Jen, Levinson, and Nagel. We have those testimonies, and we have Lucky's testimonies, and we have Karen 1236 into evidence. Okay. So going back to the slide now, could the defendant have caused the death? That's still number one. Into the first charge. Could the defendant have caused the death of Mr. O'Keefe on January 29th? The Commonwealth claims Ms. Reed reversed her SUV into Mr. O'Keefe with malice for at least 70 feet at 12:32 a.m. on 129. Let's break this possibility down. Let me see. Number one, collusion, right? We're talking about the SUV. Did the Commonwealth prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that a collusion has occurred? So who did the Commonwealth bring? Who did the Commonwealth bring to prove to you that a collusion has occurred? We heard from two people, Dr. Welcher and Shannon Burgess. Now, look at this picture I found of Dr. Welcher with the dummy. I had not seen that before. On the right bottom corner, do you guys see what I see? Do you guys see what I see? I don't know if he's dancing with the dummy. Does this dummy have a name? I feel like the dummy is being violated and it's just uncomfortable. Sir, please get your hands off of the dummy's bum. They prove that Dr. Welcher is a creep. So, anyways, I wouldn't say that portion. That portion I wouldn't say in the closing arguments. Kelly Cal says, I understand why Peggy left the room during this. I read in X. Sheila says, absolutely. So I wouldn't point that out if I was really an attorney. I would just say something like this. So the Commonwealth called Dr. Welcher to prove to you that there was a collusion. Let's go over what Dr. Welcher has testified. And what did he present to us? Dr. Welcher dressed up as the victim. He painted a taillight blue. He walked into and bumped his arm into the taillight. He said, we don't know exactly how he was struck. He had another driver reverse into his arm at approximately 2 miles per hour. And Welcher's findings that the damage to the Reed's Lexus was consistent. Okay, his findings were that the damage to Reed's Lexus was consistent with a collusion, and O'Keefe's injury matched those of a car accident victim. He said that they match with those of an car accident victim, but he used another victim in another case who did not die of the injuries as an example. Okay. He also said that it's consistent based on the fact that his arm height was at the same level of the taillights. And his only test presented to you, the jury, was painting the taillight blue and getting the car to reverse at a very low mileage. I cannot find how this test is comparable to what the Commonwealth is alleging at all. The allegations here is that the car was going in reverse at approximately 24 miles per hour. So how does that compare to 2 miles? How does that compare to that test? And I would completely well, I don't think the attorneys can say that, but I would just remind to you, the jury, that it is your choice to completely disregard or take into consideration an expert's opinion. You look at you consider their bias, their expertise, their education, the test they performed, and their testimony, and it is your choice to either take into consideration or not what they are presenting. Otto says the Commonwealth has never proved this case. It never should have been indicted, especially now that we know that a lot of people during the grand jury lied or misremembered or had false memories, right? Kelly Cow, I literally can't think of one this that they proved. I can't think of one. Leanne, so sorry, not sorry. 400K is a lot of bias, in my opinion. That's the amount they were paid. Calico, one thing. Now tell me something. Does the $400,000 include the Lexus they had to buy or not? Because that I wasn't sure about that. Guys, don't forget, I do have a Facebook group that you guys can click on here. Karina has left this in the beginning of the chat, and we can talk during the week and we can make posts about the trial. Please follow me there or also on X. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hate that people keep saying that, but I see that the channels that perform the best, they say that all the time. So I'm trying to learn. Loria's, hey y'all from Texas. Let me see some comments that I haven't read yet. Uh, 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 uh. Hit the like button. Y'all, Lucinda, like and subscribe. Leanne saying we've had an amazing week, but I'm so anxious about it. Right. I think there's a lot of work still to do. Okay, guys. Eileen Taylor, I forgot to say hi to chat and the mods. Um, Okay, Leanne says, I'm worried Welcher has had time to come up with a rebuttal that might make sense. So for Aperture, looks like chumps, but they are experts. They might pull something out of their hats. X. Yeah, it's all possible. And the fact that the judge is always cooperating with the Commonwealth and allowing the Commonwealth to keep coming back for rebuttal, sir rebuttal, it's just unfair. It's just an unfair trial. We all see it. Laura says, good afternoon. I mean, they're not guilty. Okay. Um, Otto says, I have a fear that there is a plant in the jury. It kills me to say this because it's going to probably be another mistrial. If she's not guilty on all charges for all the evidence, Dr. Welcher is pathetic. There's always possibilities, right? We hope not, but if there's another mistrial, how much money they are spending on this case just to keep bringing it to trial is very suspicious as well. Otto says a 2-year-old could have done Welch's paint test. It was just so silly. It was so silly. Josh and you, good to see you here. 911 call. We just flipped him over. Testimony, both Jen and Carrie. Carrie brushed the snow off his face. I know not his trial, but Allie McCabe when John was in the house. Yeah, Allie McCabe testified last time, not yet this time, but absolutely, absolutely. Okay, we got clerk has the blueprint saying, in my opinion, Karen has 2.7 plus exculpatory things to point at, but the two big ones are no collusion, and then 1236 is impossible, especially given the conditions, snow, high heels, etc. Absolutely. Okay, so let's keep going here on Dr. Welch. So Dr. Welcher, I would put, maybe we wouldn't be able to put the one that he's grabbing the dummy's booty here, but we can put the one that he looks like an idiot in the middle where he's dressed like the victim, right? And I'll just say, okay, what is the point of that, right? So then the other expert, Shannon Burgess, whatever his name is, he analyzed the trigger events according to the SUV. He said the data from the car loan did not necessarily confirm a collusion. And he testified that his analysis of the phone and the Reed's SUV indicated that O'Keefe's last recorded use of his phone occurred around the same time. the SUV was put into reverse. And that was a key point for the Commonwealth. Okay. But we also talked about his resume, his LinkedIn profile, his bachelor's degree in pursuit of for 17 years. And again, it is the jury's decision to either take into consideration or disregard the full testimony or partial or a little bit of it. Okay. So then we have and then you jury, you looked at the Commonwealth's experts and you look at their opinions and you're going to take into consideration what you believe you should. And then we're going to look at Dr. Wolf, who we brought as the defense. And what did Dr. Wolf do? He came here and he concluded that the damage, the tail light, and John's clothing as well is inconsistent with a vehicle strike based on the tests that he showed you guys by video, by photos, and by his testimony as well. So he came in, he showed you guys the test videos at different speeds. And in order to have the damage to the tail light, to the outer part of the tail light, the car would have to be going at least 31 miles per hour. And that is not what the Commonwealth is alleging that has happened. Now, you can be thinking, well, but maybe it could have happened. It's possible. But that is not what you're being asked. What you're being asked to do here. What you're being asked to do is to be sure beyond a reasonable doubt that that is what the Commonwealth has proved to you. And we are showing here also the drinking glass test through Dr. Wolf that after they built the cannon to shoot the cocktail glass at 37, they had to throw it at 37 miles per hour for it to have cracked and caused any damage to the tail light. So then I would, let me keep going. I would ask the jury also on the first count still, right? On the first count when when they're asking you, the Commonwealth is asking you to say that Carrie caused the death of Mr. O'Keefe. And also we're looking at, did they prove it was a collusion? Did they prove an SUV caused this? And did they prove the injuries were caused by an SUV? So did the Commonwealth prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the injuries were direct results of a car collusion? So we're going to look at the injuries and who came in to testify about the injuries. Dr. Scoribello is a Commonwealth's witness, and she came in and she told us that there are 5 manners of death that a medical examiner looks at. They look at natural, homicide, suicide, accident, and undetermined. The causes of death are different. The causes of death is different than the manner of death. And she was able to determine the causes of death being a blunt impact to the back of the head and hypothermia. The manner of death is undetermined. So if the medical examiner herself, someone who has gone to school, who has become a doctor, who deals with injuries constantly, she's unable to determine that this was a car collusion. That is the definition of reasonable doubt as well. She was not sure. So also a few other things that she has noted during her testimony. No evidence of impact site on his body per car hitting him. No bones broken, no bruises, and no lower extremity injuries, which are expected to see from a car collusion. He had an eyelid laceration, which could not be caused by falling backwards and hitting the head. It was caused by something else. The coroner was asked if she knew about the defendant, questioning if she could have hit him. And she said, yes, I took that into consideration. I still couldn't determine that this was a homicide. And she also, when asked about it from the defense, could this have been the eye laceration could have been a punch in the face? She said yes. And every time we're asking you to consider this, jurors, every time you're thinking, could this have done it? Could that have done it? Could that have done it? That is doubt. You're not sure. The Commonwealth has not shown you for sure how this has happened. Sheila P. Okay, let me see. In the Canoni, Sheila P says, I don't think the damage to the tail light from the glass went into the back of the tail light in the Canoni. I think that's what you said. Leanne, so sorry, not sorry. Hank so whiny is worse than a cat on heat. Yeah, I personally would be so put off by Hank's attitude and his demeanor. I don't like that. I feel like that is being a bully and it's just not showing me that you have the facts. When you have the facts, you can have an educated conversation, you can ask smart questions and you can make your points across. You can gotcha, you can catch the person into their mistakes without having to have an attitude, screaming, and all of those things. Otto says also there would be broken bones, bruises from the neck down in a pedestrian accident. Right. Joe says, I'll believe anything you tell me. Um, it's hi Pro Hack. Pro Hack is in the chat. Eileen says, hi, hit the acknowledgement. Remember Sergeant Buchanan? Like to him. Thumbs up is not like, it's just acknowledging. So please acknowledge this video. Prohack says, sorry, I'm late. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Corina says, the shocker for me this week was discovering that the defense paid 50,000 for ARCCA and the Commonwealth paid 400,000 for Aperture. That blew. That blew. Leanne says, Bianca and Dr. Wolf would make the most beautiful baby. Sorry, I couldn't help it. He's gorgeous. Yes. I'm trying not to call him Crash Daddy with, too much because I want to respect his intelligence, his career and why he's here. But he's absolutely a gorgeous man and congratulations to his wife and all his family. Absolutely. Problem is Hank is a master gaslighter and Bev allows him to say anything he wants, including lies and facts. Lies as facts. That's true. And that is something I'm working on. I'm working on a video. Sometimes it takes me a long time, guys, because I have to listen to hours of testimony. So I'm listening to Dr. Welch's, Dr. Wolf, and I'm catching things the judge is doing. And I'm going to make a compilation for you because I love you guys and I want you to enjoy that. So definitely is palpable. It's especially during Dr. Wolf's testimony, it was very, very apparent that she has a bias. Sheila says Burgess said January 30th. How can you trust the rest of his analysis? Or there are more he's just everything. He's like, no, that was a misunderstanding, it was a mistake. But when other people have an opinion, he says, yeah, incorrect, incorrect. That guy was an absolute hack as well. Eileen says Judge was a pathetic excuse of it. Judd was an Judd W was a pathetic excuse of an expert so combative and rude. All of the Commonwealth's test witnesses are so combative and rude. Also, but dials they have from 94 to 27 Google search. I wish they would call BA and BH to get them in. So let's talk about this, right? Since Otto is here reminding me of my strong opinion. I have a strong opinion of the defense team calling 3 people: Proctor, Brian Albert, Brian Higgins. And I will tell you why. Last Sunday, when we did when we talked about the jury's bias and the jury's emotions and how people make decisions based on emotions much more than facts. When you have the facts in front of you, but you still think another way, it's called cognitive dissonance. You have 2 avenues, but even though people are showing you facts that doesn't make sense, if you are emotionally invested with the other side, you're not going to be able to change your mind very rarely. So based on that, I believe the defense should strongly reconsider their decision and they should strongly bring people that would produce an emotional reaction into the jury, like Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, and Proctor. I would be more maybe conservative in the questioning. I would have a very short direct examinations just to bring the points. For example, Michael Proctor, just to read all the text messages because all of his text messages need to be introduced. Then I would ask, what is your current position? What is the reason for your termination? Brian Albert's so important to ask him about getting rid of the dog, getting rid of the house, getting rid of the phone call in the middle of the night. Doesn't matter what he answers, his demeanor is what matters. And we have a video on him from last year's trial showing his body language, and he comes off as an aggressive, scary man. And why didn't you come out? Are you a EMT? Yes. Are you trained at preserving life and life saving measures? Yes. Why didn't you come out of the house to help, Mr. O'Keefe? Questions like that would stay with the jury because they produce an emotional reaction. Why? Yeah, that's true. That is very suspicious. And then Brian Higgins, one of my favorite witnesses ever because he looks dumb, so dumb. Did you get rid of your phone? He's going to say, I had a right to do that. I drove to a military base and blah, 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 blah. Creating more emotional appeal to the reasonable doubt because right now the defense does not have that. The defense just has the science, the physics, which is excellent for people who think like that. But if there are other people, you can see guys on X all the time. Look at the people who are against Karen Reed and what they're saying. We have to take those comments and think, how can I combat this? If there's a jury member who thinks this way right now, how can I address that guy, that person? I think it's very important. Um, Otto says, I have a bad feeling they won't call them. BA, BH, and Proctor should be called. I agree. Dever was in the video of them breaking the tail light. She walks into the teleport, sees and turns around. They should have played it when she was on the stand. Bev probably wouldn't allow it. Yeah. Uh, Bev doesn't allow anything that is good for the defense, generally speaking. Kelly Cow, I am praying they're trolling the prosecution, making it seem like they aren't calling them, but they really will. That would be great. I would love that so much. I would love that so much. I think they called Dever for Higgins. I still think it would make a difference. I still think strongly that it would make a difference. But okay, I'm not the defense. I am not in the defense team. So, when talking about the medical examiner, if I was the defense, I would also put on a slideshow and have this. I would say, please also, jury members, consider the behavior being displayed by the lead investigator regarding the medical examiner report. Then I would read, Michael Proctor's Texas with David DeChico, rookie move, not meeting with the ME and getting that homicide determination. And then Michael Proctor, of course, is undetermined. She's a whack job. Dear God, WTF, what the hell is inconclusive about the whole thing? So the jury has the right to make those connections. I think that every time there's like suspicious activity on the taillight being planted, on the influence of the cops, I think the defense has to show the jury evidence of that because there is more evidence of that than what the Commonwealth is claiming, but they need to connect. They can't just say, well, the cops planted evidence. They have a relationship with the Alberts, and the Alberts are this old police, little tight knit group. And that's why we're here today, because that is very difficult to believe for somebody sitting there in the jury be like, okay, this is a little far-fetched. You want me to believe that everybody's in this conspiracy. But if you just take, okay, we're talking about the medical examiner report and her testimony. Now match this with these text messages right here. We're showing you of Proctor and jury. You guys make your own decisions, okay? Then I would continue on about reasonable doubts. Again, the medical examiner has given you reasonable doubts. And of course, I believe they have to I think the judge is going to say what the definition of reasonable doubt is. But if I was the defense and if she would allow me, I would throw something to in the middle, just to re-emphasizing. Okay. I would say a charge is proved beyond a reasonable doubt if, after you have compared and considered all of the evidence you have in your minds, an abiding conviction to a moral certainty that the charge is true. And most importantly, it is not enough for the Commonwealth to establish a probability. So you cannot leave here saying, well, but it's possible she hit him with a car. Well, but there was one test, very high speed, that showed the taillight being broken. So it's not impossible. Well, but maybe, the taillight piece is created that. That's a possibility, sure. But that is not what you're being asked to do. It is not enough for them to establish a probability, even a strong probability, that the defendant is more likely to be guilty than not. That is not enough. Instead, the evidence must convince you of the defendant's guilt to a reasonable and moral certainty, a certainty that convinces your understanding and satisfies your reason and judgment as jurors who are sworn to act conscientiously on the evidence. That is what we mean by reasonable doubt. Eileen Taylor, I'll be listening, but off to bed as working on 14 hours nursing assistant shift in the morning. God bless to all. God bless you, Eileen. I hope you have a great rest preparation for tomorrow. So I would say, as a defense, we ask you jurors at this time, are you wondering still if a dog could have attacked John? Could a dog have attacked John and made him fall backwards? Is it possible that there was an altercation at the party after a night of drinking at two bars? Is it possible that the owner of the home had any influence to stop the investigators from questioning him too much? If you have tried during this trial to figure out in your mind what could have possibly happened that night, then the Commonwealth has not met their burden, and you must find the defendant not guilty of all charges. Let me see here. The Commonwealth's own medical examiner, a trained doctor pathologist, testified she could not rule this as a collusion homicide, right? Otto says Higgins and Berkowitz and the Sally Port for a wildly long time. It is not a false memory. It's too specific. They threatened her, Dever, as she was, and she was a beep on the stand. She can't ever testify again. So this I found. I'm not sure if it's gonna come in, if it has come in or not, and I found that it was very interesting. Uh, Dr. Walsh's opinion, introduced by the Commonwealth, that the injuries were not dog bites, also had this added that the absence of documented injuries to his torso, hips, and legs appears to be inconsistent with a vehicle impact. So I hope that they can emphasize and re-emphasize this if that is into evidence. And also, I believe Dr. Walsh mentioned Dr. Kinsey, who said, I don't see it from the tail light. I'm not saying it's not possible. Maybe that's something an engineer could tell you. And in this case, they had a very well established engineering crash firm. And obviously, they say it didn't happen that way, too. This whole prosecution has some problems and can't convince me if they can't come up with a theory other than the tail light. If you look at the size of the victim's arm, that is too much area for a tail light. So where did all the other abrasions come from? The tail light thing doesn't do it for me. Okay. So I don't know if this is coming in, if this is a real testimony. I found this online. So you guys know, take that with a grain of salt, because we find a lot of things online. But that would be crazy, right? If that is part of the testimony that they had, or the depositions they had. Otto says, I know they're calling a medical examiner. Right. Leanne says, wow, I didn't see that before. Right. So that was, I think Dr. Walsh, we're definitely going to either hear from him or see a report from him, because they did talk about him when we were listening to Dr. Russell. Karina says, I heard they would call Garrett's on rebuttal. Yeah, we'll see then. I don't know if I find that couldn't all be true, especially the second one, Dr. Kinsley, because if that was true, I mean, why wouldn't the defense have this guy, first person on the stand? So we'll see. Now, I would also say, we're still talking about the first charge here. You also heard from Dr. Russell, who is an emergency physician, former police officer, forensic pathologist, dog bite expert, who testified the wounds were not consistent with a car collision, but consistent with a dog attack. So that creates more reasonable doubt for us, because we can think based on the testimony provided, that it is a possibility. Now, let me give you some more information. At the time of his death, the owner of the home owned a German Shepherd. After Mr. O'Keefe's death, they gave the dog away, they sold their family home, and he got rid of his phone. And this is where I think Brian Albert has to come in and testify. They have to bring these pieces of information. They have to show the jury how one possibility combines with the conspiracy. And based on fact, not just saying it. I think they have to show visually to the jury. This is what Dr. Russell said, but this is what the conspiracy, not using those words conspiracy, but just say, listen, look at this, and you guys make up your own conclusions, right? So it's very suspicious, but I just want to point that out. So I wouldn't say anything else. I would just give them the facts. Nicole Albert, necessarily, she doesn't need to testify. She doesn't need to testify in my opinion, but she did testify last time about selling her home, and she gave like 1,000 reasons why somebody sells their home. She talked about rehoming Chloe. She also testified she did not speak to her sister Julie that morning, but was awake when she entered the room. So dog rehomed, house rehomed, phone rehomed. Josh Hughes says objections states fact, not in evidence. And that's true. And that's why I said from the beginning, this is a mock closing argument based on the things that I would introduce into evidence. I think absolutely we have to remember anything said in the closing argument has to be part of the trial, introduced into evidence based on testimony, videos, photos. So Josh Eno is 100% correct. But this is my closing argument based on bringing Brian Albert in. I would question Brian Albert, and I would question Proctor, and I would question Higgins. Those are the people that I believe, because of the emotional appeal, the defense has to bring. Sheila says the dog is in as evidence. Otto says, perfect, Bianca, please go to law school. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Karina, they can call whoever they want on rebuttal. Otto says also that on the 911 call, you can hear Jen calling her sister saying help is on the way, and are you coming out? Also, Higgy confirms the man that looks exactly like Officer John O'Keefe came into the house. Clayton John says they also jackhammered up the basement floor, claiming sewer backup. Probably explains the blood. So yeah, they could question Brian Albert about those things. Very simple, very direct, concise, direct examination. Sir, prior to selling the house, did you do it? What was in your basement? Oh, a gym? Did you have gym equipment like dumbbells? How heavy were they? Did you, after that, do a renovation on your basement? And then after that, did you sell the home? Please list the reasons. What happened to your phone, etc., etc., etc. Did you have a backup? So let me get this straight. You sold your home, you rehomed your dog, and you got rid of your phone within these many months after John O'Keefe died. Correct? Correct. Okay, thanks. No more questions. That's it. No more questions. Just want to show to the jury the suspicion. Don't want to accuse. You just want to have them add up reasonable doubt in their mind. So again, you're not being asked to prove or figure out anything that happened, jurors. You're being asked if the Commonwealth has proven these charges to you beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, it is not enough that they establish a possibility, a probability, even a strong probability. Okay, so next, let's see. So here I would say, after going through ARCCA, right, the SUV experiments, which we can take a look at, the injuries are simply not consistent with a car collision. The Commonwealth claims Ms. Reed reversed her SUV into Mr. Keefe with malice for at least 62 feet. So the SUV is not a possibility. Sheila P says should probably be a better alternative to calling Brian Albert. I think calling Brian Albert would be a high risk gamble because Bev is allowing anything on rebuttal by Hank Brennan. Okay, I understand what you're saying, Sheila, that you think that calling Nicole Albert, the wife, would be better. But the reason why I disagree is from a psychological perspective. Okay. Last Sunday, we talked about this and how people in general make decisions based on emotional appeal. And we create all these things in our minds, like bias. We have cognitive dissonance. We have confirmation bias. So when we're listening to something, we're waiting to have our opinion confirmed. We're usually not listening to somebody to think to see how their points make sense and not how they are right and we are wrong. When we have a strong opinion about something, we're usually looking to uh, we're usually looking to confirm what we already think. Unfortunately, that is just human behavior and psychology. So I believe that the Commonwealth has done an excellent job at playing the videos of Kara Reed talking, and they're repeating this I hit him statement, and they are creating into the jury this emotional appeal that is very strong that could potentially have caused cognitive dissonance on them, that in this, despite of what ARCA shows and what the evidence shows and the scientific tests, that the jury could still have this strong emotion. Oh, but she said she could have hit him. I think she's there sitting in the bad person's chair. She did it. She did it. They had the tail light pieces there. They had the shoe. What else do you want? She did it. Guys, people think like that. Okay. They're not looking at every little thing like we are. So, in order to combat that strong emotional appeal, I believe that bringing somebody so unlikable, so aggressive, so dark, like Brian Albert is, would be beneficial for the defense because it would create that emotional appeal. Even though Nicole was very difficult to watch as well, I think Brian Albert is very aggressive in his micro expressions and just dark, that it would produce an subconscious reaction to the jury that may be thinking, oh, this is far fetched, when they heard it from him directly. Okay. So then we would here insert some of the ARCA's tests. We can look at it when we're going when after we're done, pretty much. So because the ARCA test was recent, I didn't add to the slide yet, but I would say, based on the collusion, and I would say, okay, this is what it would require. It would require the car to be going over 37 miles per hour to have the taillight explode. Therefore, we don't have that. Also, I would say you heard from Karina Kolokithis, who testified how Karen and John were affectionate. I can't spell affectionate, so then I couldn't read it. Affectionate towards one another that evening. They were hugging, they were kissing each other. So the malice is very difficult to even imagine, let alone allow you, the jury, to find that the Commonwealth has shown this to you beyond a reasonable doubt. How did the Commonwealth show you malice beyond a reasonable doubt? We, the defense, have no responsibility in proving the case to you, disproving the case to you, bringing you alternatives, or even speaking. We could just sit here and be the defense because the responsibility fully lies on Mr. Brennan representing the Commonwealth. But we did. And we wanted to show you the facts beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant has nothing to do with the unfortunate incident that has occurred that evening. We show here a girlfriend that is being loving towards her boyfriend. Yes, later you heard the voicemails that she was angry because he disappeared. She left him at a party and he just ignored her calls while she had to take care of his niece and his nephew. So even though the Commonwealth wants you to jump into that huge conclusion that she had malice, the evidence simply does not add up. Um, Priscilla says, I hear from DUI guy who watched the jury Friday that jurors are into the defense and disliking Hank as much as us, not taking notes or even looking at Hank when it's his turn. Great. Fantastic. Because you know what? That's how I feel. When Hank starts talking, I'm like, oh, and I have to listen to the whole thing because I do make these videos and I edit videos later. So I have to listen to Hank. But if I could just turn him off, I would because I hate condescending, arrogant people. And I just don't like the way that he talks to other people. Um, Otto says Karina humanized Karen. Yes, she did. She said, "I wanted to talk to Karen. I wanted to be close to Karen." She did more than just testify, black and white. Uh, ask Bob says no one in 11 people saw anybody. I can't stand his voice. I can't stand his voice, and every time he talks, I imagine a mouse, a rat, right? Isn't it true that you? Isn't it true that you hate everybody and I hate you? Isn't it true that there's nothing here for you because that's how I hear Hank Brennan. I apologize for that terrible impression, but that is how I hear Hank Brennan every time I think of him because it's what I think. It's what I think. So, anyways, guys, moving along with our mock closing argument, uh, mock of the mock. This is like the beginning. We're not even like serious yet, okay? Because Clayton says he has a punchable voice. That's true. We're just thinking out loud, okay? We're not doing the closing argument yet. This is just what do you call it? A draft. A draft. Then we get the 1236. And I would make the 1236 super big as possible. 1236. 1236, guys. This is the slide that we want to show you as well. Time of the collusion alleged by the Commonwealth is 1232. We heard from another Commonwealth witness, Trooper Nicholas Guarino, the one that said, F my life last year. Not that would have been included, but anyways. That her phone, Mrs. Reed's phone, connected to the Wi-Fi at John O'Keefe's house at 12:36 a.m. Mr. O'Keefe's Apple Health data registers him taking steps and going up flights of stairs at 12:24 a.m. So they were at the bar, guys, at 12 a.m. That's when the bar closed. Everybody headed over to Brian Albert's house. Why is John O'Keefe's watch showing going up a flight of stairs if he didn't go into the house? That's what they're claiming, that he didn't go into the house, right? But he walked up flights of stairs. And guess who had stairs in their house? Brian Albert. Also, there is a drive of at least 7 minutes from Fairview to Mr. O'Keefe's home, not counting the weather conditions that night that were so notorious. They were in the news. People were expecting severe snowstorm. So a regular 7-minute drive would have taken maybe double that. But let's be conservative and call it 7 minutes. How? How would the defendant have hit his car at 12:32? I'm sorry, hit him at 12:32 a.m. and be at the house at 12:36? It's impossible. The Commonwealth's expert Shannon Berger, whatever, changed his report after reviewing the defense expert's report. It is the jury's call, we remind you, to determine the credibility of a witness and any weights their testimony gets, if any. So let's talk about the Commonwealth's allegations, the Commonwealth's witnesses here. They say that the SUV reversed in this severe snowstorm about 64, I think it was 64 feet, because this truck is only 60. But I wanted to give you an idea of what a 60 feet truck would look like. That is the amount of reversing the SUV that she would have done at a high speed, 24 miles per hour. And the people who were in the house didn't see anything. There are no witnesses about this reversal here. 64 feet or 60 feet is also the equivalent of 4 sedans, 4 cars, okay? So let's think about this, jurors. I couldn't be an attorney because I can't say jurors. Members of the jury, please follow me as we brainstorm through this possibility. You heard from Ryan Nagel. Ryan Nagel was a direct witness who pulled behind Karen's SUV. He was there right where the SUV was. He was a witness who came here and said she was the only one in the car. He did not see anybody around the car. Where was Mr. O'Keefe? This is the evidence we have. He was behind the SUV. He didn't see anybody in the car. He didn't see anybody around the house. Also, the evidence we have, there is a Jeep parked by the mailbox, and that is right there where the white Jeep is. The SUV is in front of the Karen's SUV is in front of Ryan Eagle's truck. And then you want to tell me that 12 people, at least 12 people that were in the house that night at that time, did not watch this SUV reversing at 24 miles per hour for at least 60 feet, which she would have had to get a little bit of the house, a little bit of the trees, maybe the Jeep, depending on the direction that she reversed as. So again, we ask you, members of the jury, has the Commonwealth proven to you that she has done that? How would she not have hit the house, the trees, the Jeep, the truck? There were obstacles all around the SUV. Has the Commonwealth shown you that? We're here to show you that it's not possible, even though it is not our burden to prove. So we go back to the first count. We go back to the first question. Did she do it? Did she do it with the car? So the Commonwealth claims she reversed the SUV. We have shown you it's not possible. Malice, it's not possible. 62 feet, it's not possible. 12:32 a.m., it's not possible. It's simply not possible. So here is the jury verdict slip that we ask you to consider at this time. We're going to show you exactly how you would look at this. We just went over the first charge of second-degree murder, and the Commonwealth had the burden to show 3 things: that she did it, that she intended to do it with malice. No, that the defendant has caused the death, right? So we talked about the SUV. We talked about the possibilities of a dog bite. We talked about the possibilities of a fight, of a blunt object being thrown at his head. So with all of those, is there reasonable doubt that she has done this with the SUV? If the answer is yes, you have a reasonable doubt. You must write on this form, not guilty on count 1. You must select not guilty on count 1. Hi, Mark. It's great to see you. Yes, we're going over like a draft of the mock closing argument right now. But I'm glad that you're here. Maybe you can watch the rest later, and we are happy that you're here. So, again, the jury looks at the first charge. It's very simple. You select not guilty, and you sign and you date. And then you're done here. So if I'm the attorney, I want to make sure that I address all of these items, because last year, believe it or not, the jury did not sign the verdict form. And later they told in interviews that they didn't want, that they found her not guilty on the first charge. They just were not sure about the second charge. And the judge said, too bad, so sad. Deal with it. Too bad, so sad, you know? So continuing on, we're going to go over to the second charge of involuntary manslaughter. For the Commonwealth to prove, The Commonwealth must prove the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, that the defendant caused the victim's death, that the defendant intended to the conduct that caused the victim's death, that the defendant's conduct was wanton or wanted, I believe, or reckless, and four, where there is evidence of self-defense or another, the defendant did not act in proper self-defense or the defense of another. So that is the second count, involuntary manslaughter. But before we go to that, I wanted to play a little bit of ARCCA, Dr. Wolf's testimony, because it's Sunday and everybody deserves a little Dr. Wolf. So we're going to see. And I was so impressed, honestly, with all joking aside, I was so impressed with the actual reconstruction tests. Because when I was thinking accident reconstruction, I'm thinking, okay, they're going to reconstruct the exact or very close to scenario of what the charges are. So if the Commonwealth is saying this happened at this mileage at this time and this is what happened, that's what I want to see. I want to see that. Is it possible? How does that work? How would it look like? And Dr. Wolf came in and he had the goodies for us. He did the test at different speeds. We had the dummy, in Dr. Welch's test, he was the dummy, but it was very interesting to see. So let's take a look a little bit of his testimony here.
Did you see this well, let me ask you first, did you undertake this scientific method with regard to your reconstruction or your testing in this case?
Yes.
Did you observe this same scenario in Dr. Welch's report?
Sustained as to that point, Mr. Jackson.
Did you see this undertaken anywhere else?
And the objections, guys, and the objections.
Sustained there.
Hi, True Crime Social.
Did you look for testing in Dr. Welch's evaluation, all of his data?
Yes.
Did you find any?
No.
Other than the static blue paint test?
That was the only test, correct.
Did you see any force dynamics testing?
The blue paint test.
That's leading, so you can
Sure.
get to it without.
Okay, I wanted to pause here because I wanted to show you guys, or to note, right? Emphasize what the judge just did. That's leading. So that is so prejudicial to the defense, okay? Because she does not allow speaking objections. Hank is actually the one that started. We pointed out this last Sunday on the video that we were doing when Hank first did the first speaking objections. And after he did it, there were a few other speaking objections. But this judge is very strict about this. She doesn't want anybody speaking. She doesn't want the jury to understand what's going on with the objections. But she shows to the jury, in front of the jury, she admonishes the defense. And also, she's responding to the defense attorney like, you know that, right, Alan Jackson? You know that that's leading. Why are you doing that, Alan Jackson? So she is acting negatively towards the defense attorney here in front of the jury. And she's supposed to be what? The gatekeeper. She's supposed to be what? Impartial. And that is just bad, bad, bad for the judge. Bad, bad for the judge. Mark says, hey, y'all, hit the like button. It's free. It's free. It's free. Leanne says, I seen a great comment the other day. I can't take credit. Aperture. And Clayton says, Hank brings burgers. Yet starts in with the judge's blessings to harass and berate the integrity of Dr. Wolf, has the nerve to question testing after that blue paint test. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Seriously. Look at Ask Bob, member for 1 month. That's so amazing. I love these little milestones. I am so here for it. Scott says, poor Dr. Wolf got chased by some fangirls as he tried to walk to lunch outside of court. No. OMG. In the girl's defense, though, it's not every day that you meet a Dr. Wolf. But girls, he's married. He's not available. Leave Dr. Wolf alone. Leave Dr. Wolf alone. Otto says she sustained 49 objections from Hank during AJ Direct. Yeah, she makes it look like the jury case. Doesn't matter. That's the vibe she gives off. Yes. Jury's thinking, Bev, what are you trying to hide? I hope so, because for me, especially this day during the direct examination, it was so clear. I was watching, and then I'm posting on X constantly. I'm like, what the hell? Like, he's asked, because there were some questions that were leading. Yes, there were definitely leading questions. In Alan Jackson's defense, sometimes she allows Hank to go all over the leading questions. But some other questions were, let me see if I can find one on my X. Some questions were just like so normal, and she wouldn't let him ask. But anyways, I don't know where it is. So let's keep going with Dr. Wolf, please.
What about any other testing? Anything else that we've talked about? Do you see anything else done in Dr. Welcher's?
As it pertains to an analysis to the taillight and the damage and the forces, no.
Let's move on to the next slide. Did you actually undertake testing in furtherance of the scientific method?
Yes.
Let's move on to the next slide and you can describe what we're talking about. What are we looking at here?
So you're looking at a test matrix of the various tests that we conducted at ARCCA. I could go through them one by one if you want.
Let me ask you.
Look at that. Impact speed, 10 miles per hour, 17 miles per hour, 15, 29, 24. All of these is what I would expect the Commonwealth to do. I would expect the Commonwealth to bring tests, videos showing, guys, this is how it happened. Look, this is how it could have happened. Now, I see a lot of comments saying, well, thank you, ARCCA, for proving the Commonwealth's case, right? I saw that it was possible for the arm to have broken the taillight. They're not taking into consideration that the portion of the taillight that was broken was the outer portion. That is a harder material, and that didn't happen unless it was like over 37 miles per hour, I believe. And they're also not taking into consideration the injuries, which we're going to hear from Dr. Ranchler, that is going to come from ARCCA, probably Monday or Tuesday as well. But still, I like the fact that ARCCA brought in all of the possibilities. And they're like, here you go. These are the tests. Very clear. We're not hiding anything. Please go over them and tell me what you think. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward here to where he's going to talk about the glass.
Instrumentation that you used in addition to the mechanical impactor. What's some of the instrumentation you used to
Yeah,
track
they did 2
the
miles
data?
an hour.
Certainly. So you can see, I'll get my, see down here. So at the top here, there's a blue camera here. There's another blue camera here. So these are our high-speed cameras. And you'll see there's a bunch of lights around those high speeds. That's just because the frame rate's so high. And again, it's only sampling a very, very short amount of time. So you have to have a lot of light when you do these high-speed tests. So we have the high-speed cameras running. We have an accelerometer mounted to the ATD arm here on the other side. So that's some of the instrumentation. There's also a couple other cameras that we're documenting this overall.
Can we move to the next slide, please? What are we looking at in these photographs?
So this is looking at, and not to be confused, this wasn't the arm position when the impact occurred. This is just showing you the setup. So on the left is just kind of an overall shot. And then on the right is a uniaxial accelerometer. So that's going to measure, we talked about that term earlier, right? The acceleration. So that's going to measure how quickly is this arm changing its speed, right? What's the acceleration of the arm as it's impacted?
Does that accelerometer put into motion some of the mathematical formulations that you talked about earlier?
Yes.
Let's move to the next slide, please. Tell me about these photographs.
So the importance of this is, more specifically looking at the right photograph here, might be a little bit hard to see, but we wanted to get the same exact sweatshirt or hoodie for the testing to evaluate if the taillight breaks, is there a mechanism for the fragments to penetrate and cause holes in the sweatshirt as were observed in Mr. John O'Keefe's sweatshirt?
Next slide. Were you successful in finding the exact replica sweatshirt?
Yes, and I will note, as I mentioned, I know it probably is hard to see, but the material blend on the sleeves are the exact same. They are 60% cotton and 40% polyester.
Was it important in your mind to maintain consistency with the data that you had received concerning John O'Keefe's clothing?
Certainly, I think we wanted to try to control as many variables as we could.
Let's move to the next slide, please. Test A. Describe test A for us, please.
So you're going to see a series of photographs and then videos, but test A was mounting a preconditioned taillight on that linear impactor to accelerate it into the hybrid 3 arm to, again, evaluate the damage to the taillight and the acceleration to the arm.
Let's move to the next slide, please. What are we looking at in these photographs?
So you're looking on the left, a photograph just before the impact test was conducted. On the right, you're looking at a thermal image that is depicting the temperature profile of the tail.
And this is another, sorry for cutting it like that, but this is another amazing point that they made. They made sure they controlled the temperature of the taillight so that it would be consistent with the temperature of that evening. So, you know, just the amount of testing and the care and the diligence that ARCCA has conducted themselves with, it would make them so much more believable than what the Commonwealth did, which was they came in, I mean, Dr. Welcher came in with a bias. How can I make this SUV hit my arm? It was one outcome that he was looking at. And then when talking about possibilities in the scientific method, he would be like, oh no, I came in thinking this didn't happen. But you try to prove how it happened. That's all your test did. There is nothing else that you did. So I wouldn't really be trusting them if I was a member of the jury. Let me see. ProHack B says people should leave the witnesses alone. It's weird to treat them like movie stars. I know. I agree. I don't like the pictures of the families being posted. I don't like any of that. I think it should, you know, we should try our best to limit to the trial and understand these are real people with real lives, and we don't really know 100% of the truth. So there is no benefit and there is no value in ruining people's lives for whatever reason, for social media, for internet fame. There, to me, there is no value in that. I know I have a small channel. I mean, I got a lot of subscribers when I started doing meditations and stuff, and then when I changed to the true crime, it's taking a minute to grow because I'm also trying to be more consistent with the days that I'm going live and stuff. But I could be saying a lot of things that would get me more people to get more viewers, but it's just, it doesn't align with my values. And I'm like, I can't do that. I have to be like, okay, this is what we're looking at. And you guys see me making fun of the witnesses and body language videos and just making fun of them. But usually it's a witness that has been extremely combative, aggressive, and I just can't take it. Like Jennifer McCabe, Officer Dever. And I'm like, let me show you guys their body language, but never go after somebody, you know, personally or go after their families or their lives. I don't agree with that. Ask Bob says it's polycarbonates. Haha, I said that. Polycarbonates. Carbonates. The dumb cops broke it like glass. They went too far. Clayton says, for a baby to get thrown from a collision, John's care would have been stuck. Oh, body. I'm sorry. I said baby. For a body to get thrown from a collision, John's core would have to been stuck. It would show broken arm, vertebra damage. The dog bites can't be covered up. Okay. Otto saying polycarbonate doesn't shatter, it has to be manually broken. Mark says this is all about the arm. All about the arm. Scott, while harvesting the taillight pieces, they went too far for breaking it apart. None of the inside of the taillight was affected by the ARCCA tests. That is a great point. But the Commonwealth jury member, the person who is thinking on the guilty side, they're not going to look at those details because that is very important. The inside portion was not affected in any of the tests. Leanne says, my son keeps asking who I'm talking to because I keep agreeing out loud. LOL. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I live alone, but there's always me, my voice talking in the house. I talk to my dog all the time. And, it just helps me to process. So just say, listen, it's my buddy Bianca and all the whole chat. I'm talking to the whole chat, and I got lots of people here. So please understand that. The Clayton says that Devers fantasy or false memory with such detail about Higgins and the chief in the Sally Ports. Right. So I want to go to the. Okay, let's see this one. This one is still the test about the glass.
Describe that thermal image.
Certainly. Your Honor, may I refer to my notes?
Your Honor,
Yes.
may I refer? I don't just have my laptop open here the whole time, Your Honor. May I refer to my notes? Can we do this like real quick? Let's just.
So what I did is I analyzed the
Fast.
profile of the temperature down in this area. And when we look at that
Okay.
segment, that lower portion here, where contact was made, the average temperature in that area was about 34 degrees with a minimum of about 33 degrees.
How did you get that exemplar taillight down to around freezing?
So all of the taillights that we tested were preconditioned overnight in a freezer.
Why was that important?
Thank
Well,
you.
it's my understanding that at the time that this
Thank you
allegedly
for
occurred, the
membership.
ambient temperature was 31 degrees Fahrenheit. So as I mentioned earlier, certainly there's a correlation between how plastics perform in cold weather. So we wanted to take that variable into account in our testing to precondition them down to temperatures that were consistent with at the time of the alleged incident.
Next slide, please.
That makes sense.
What are we looking at in this slide, on this photograph?
So this is a video. Do you want me to go and play the video?
Tell us what we're about to
Yes.
see, and then I'll ask the court's permission.
So you were looking at a camera that is mounted above the entire setup. If you look at the top portion of this video, you will see the taillight part is covered by the high-speed camera. But what will happen is the linear impactor will fire, and the taillight will be accelerated up to 10 miles per hour, striking the closed ATD arm.
What's the court's
Let's
permission?
do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Play.
Let's go ahead and play the video. Next slide, please. What is this?
So this is also a video, but with the high-speed camera. So it's the high-speed camera that's looking top down at the arm. So you will see, when the video plays, you will see the taillight enter from the left and contact the arm. And I will note that this is essentially slow-mo, so it's not happening in real time. So you'll see the taillight slowly moving, but it's actually in reality moving at 10 miles per hour.
Understood. Go ahead and play that. Can I ask a question now that that's played? How did you mount the taillight to the accelerator, the linear accelerator?
Right, so we had to get a little bit creative there because
Okay,
you
I'm
may have
gonna
observed
skip
this.
that portion. I'm gonna skip that portion. So what I want to go to is the test where they were actually reversing the SUV.
This may be self-explanatory. What was the speed of your first test out in the field?
15 miles per hour.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at in these two photographs?
So on the left is a photograph of the installed preconditioned taillights just after the install, and on the right is a thermal image of that. And if I may just point out with the temperature. So one of the things you may see here is that due to the reflective chrome here, this is just an artifact of that being really reflective. So when we look at the average temperature profile of the taillight
Is that for
this
me,
test,
Mark?
the average was approximately
If it
17
is,
degrees
yes.
Fahrenheit for the taillight.
Was it important in this
Please,
testing
thank you.
to account for the temperature variance of the
I have
taillight
a friend
assembly?
that calls me
Yes,
that.
absolutely. And I will note
It's a joke.
we certainly strive to maintain that. One of the things you actually may see in this photograph on the left are these pellets on the ground, and that is due to the fact during the installation process, one of my colleagues was positioned adjacent to the taillight fixtures, applying a compress of dry ice to help mitigate any heat transfer during the install process.
Let's move on to the next slide.
Thank you, Scott. I'm
What are
going
we
to
looking at
take
in this
that
overhead
comment
view?
to
This
add
is
it to our
it's a drone
closing
video, so you're going to
argument
see the
PowerPoint.
Lexus accelerate from left to
Camera.
right, impacting the hybrid suspended arm in the area where you could see the umbrella.
Can you use your spotlight and orient us? Where are the vehicles and the
Great point.
testing locations?
Yes. So the Lexus is starting here. You will see it accelerate in reverse with the hybrid arm suspended in this area here.
Okay. Is this a video or just a still shot?
This is a drone video.
Let's go ahead and play that.
I love that they did this. I love it. That's what I wanted
Dr.
to
Wolf,
see
is that in
from
real time?
the
Slow
beginning.
down, sped up?
This is in real time.
Okay. Next video, please. What is this?
Okay, I
This
do
is
have a
a camera that was
question,
mounted on
though.
top of the forklift that was suspended.
If anybody knows, because I think that when Brennan asked him, I was like, oh yeah, why? Does anybody know why would they do this portion of the test with just the arm? Because I really like it when they did it with the whole dummy, the whole body. What's his name? Randy with Randy's body. So why would they just do it with the arm? Did he say it? I forgot. But let's keep going. Let's watch this.
In the arm.
Is this a still shot or is it a video?
It's a video.
What is the orientation of that arm as it relates to the vehicle that we'll see?
So it will make contact with the taillight, although I will note in this test, ultimately the contact ended up being more of a clip or a side swipe in this test.
Go ahead.
insane. Violent.
Did you see the impact area?
It's quick.
Right. What did you mean when you said more of a side swipe or clip?
So I think the next couple of videos will help demonstrate that.
Let's move on to the next one. What are we looking at in this video? I'm sorry, in this photograph.
So this is going to be a high speed or a slow-mo video. You're going to see the Lexus come in from the right.
Look at
and then
him.
move
Look
across
at
the screen to
Dr.
the
Wolf
left,
over
and
there.
you'll see contact occur between the taillight and the arm.
Okay.
Oh, Leanne is saying it's because it's a force calculation. The arm has electronic monitors attached to it.
Can you explain for the jurors using this video what you meant by more of a side swipe or clip?
Right. So this is where the hand and the wrist are kind of in the area of the quarter panel taillight, and then a portion of the forearm in contact with, I'm sorry, what I previously said, the wrist and the hand in contact with the liftgate portion of the taillight, and then on the forearm is more in contact with the quarter panel taillight.
Okay. Can we move to the next slide?
I know they did it with the body later,
this
so
angle?
okay.
This is, same test, just a different angle with the high-speed cameras in slow motion.
And this is at 15 miles per hour, correct?
15 miles an hour, correct.
Can you explain for the jurors, given the fact that this is suspended, does that have any impact on the ultimate analysis or reconstruction, rather than being attached to an ATT?
Effectively,
Okay.
mass is mass. So whether we have an arm that is suspended or attached, again, it's the arm is on a joint, right? So the arm can accelerate freely of the rest of the body, right? So if anything, even if it is attached to the body, there may actually be some additional force associated with that, just because there could be more mass attached to it.
Understood. Okay, let's go ahead and play this video.
All right, and let's see if the tail light breaks. 15 miles per hour, and nope, nothing there. And another thing that I kept thinking when Brandon was questioning Dr. Wolf about the weight of the arm, I was like, this is a stupid thought, but I almost posted on X, and I didn't. I was like, did anybody like cut his arm and weighted it? Like, why is he saying the arm weighted this much? Like, how does he know that? I think I know later that Alan Jackson said it's a statistic based on his body weight and his height. But I was like, why does he keep trying to make this point? Like, who cut his arm and weighted it? Like, so silly. Anyways, let's keep going.
Can we go to the next slide, please? What are we
I
looking at in
know.
these
I was
three
like,
photographs?
I'm not going to
So you're
say
looking
this
at
is silly.
on the left, starting from left to
Everybody's gonna
right,
think I'm
just at
silly.
contact, and then just after contact, and then post contact. So as I mentioned, you can see that in this first one at contact, again, we don't have, the hand isn't in the arm.
Scott's so funny. Scott say, I want to bring a rescue Randy into the buffer zone holding my free Karen Reed sign. That would be hilarious. Randy getting arrested. Yeah, you guys gonna get in trouble because I hear that buffer zone is like spicy, and that the cops are bothering people. They're wearing shirts, and please be careful out there, Scott. Be careful out there. Make sure that you are following the rules so that you don't get in trouble, because unfortunately, that's where we are at right now. But that's funny. Maybe go to a pizza shop or ice cream shop with the rescue Randy. But don't spend money on that, Scott. Come on. How much is the rescue Randy? Leanne's like, no, not silly. That was funny AF. The arm. I was like, who cut his arm? Like, why you keep saying the arm weight is wrong on the dummy? Like, why? You don't even have a dummy. Your expert is a dummy. But anyways, let's take
Aren't positioned as far out on the previous test, and the hand is in the area and the wrist of the liftgate taillight, with part of the forearm in contact with the quarter panel taillight. And as you saw in the video, essentially the arm just kind of moves out of the way of the vehicle as it comes by.
Understood. Next slide, please. What are we looking at here?
This is a photograph of the test vehicle subsequent to the test, depicting the, I'll say, lack of damage to the taillights.
Describe what you did see in terms of damage or lack of damage on the taillight.
There was no damage or fracturing to the taillights.
Describe the orientation of the arm in this particular test that you said was more of a side swipe. What was the orientation of the arm to the taillight in terms of how much of the arm touched the taillight? That's probably a clunky question, but I think you understand it.
I don't know if I could break it down into, I think just qualitatively speaking, like I said, it appears to be the hand and the wrist and kind of the lower portion of the forearm, maybe to the mid forearm or so.
So nothing on the upper arm?
Correct.
Making contact?
Correct, nothing on the upper arm, yes.
Okay. If we can move past this slide and onto the next slide. What is this depicting?
So this is depicting the test taillights of the 15 mile per hour impact into the hybrid arm compared to that of the subject taillight.
Was there any notable damage at all on the on the exemplar taillight following test C at 15 miles an hour?
The only thing there may have been was some very slight abrasions maybe to the plastic, but there certainly was no breaking or
Abrasions.
fracturing of the lens assembly.
Were you able to reach any opinions or conclusions as to whether the damage to the subject taillight is consistent with striking an arm at 15 miles per hour?
It was
In this
not.
test, it was inconsistent.
Even in a side swipe?
Correct.
Was that testing that we just saw done in accordance with scientific literature and generally accepted methodologies in the area of accident reconstruction?
Yes.
Is the damage to the right rear taillight of the subject vehicle consistent with striking John O'Keefe's arm at 15 miles per hour in a side swipe configuration?
It's inconsistent.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes.
Can we move to the next slide, please? What are we looking at in this graph?
So you're looking at the hand acceleration over time. So you can see that because, as you saw in the previous video and slides, the hand initially made contact with the taillight. So that gets accelerated up first. So we're getting peak accelerations in this test for the hand of about 254 Gs. And yes, over a period.
Okay, I'm gonna pause here real quick. So I wanted to ask you guys because I'm the way that I think is more like words, like critical thinking, visual. I'm not good with math, physics, even though I'm a real estate broker, so I should be really good with math. I can do everything, with my softwares, my calculators. I'm pretty good. I do all the tax expirations. I'll do all the calculations correctly, but my brain just like turns off when they're talking about all these things, when they have those graphs on numbers and accelerations and physics and equations of the M and the V and the velocity and the mass. But I love that ARCCA showed us through the videos. They showed us through pictures so much detail. They showed the temperature control of the taillight. They actually brought a taillight in to show to the jury how the material is, to show this is not glass. This is how heavy it is. This is how much it would take for you to break that. They showed the different speeds on the videos. And I thought that was so valuable for the defense. I don't know about anybody else because for me, listening to Dr. Welch and Dr. Burgess testimony, it took me watching and rewatching several times and having to listen to an attorney commentary to be able to understand what they were talking about. I didn't even understand what their opinion was for me. So I wonder how the members of the jury felt, even though I hear the jury is a younger jury. So probably they're still in school or in college and they are just maybe more, they're fresher on that type of information. But for me, I had to watch and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. Lucinda say, hit the like button, please. 36 people here, only 7 likes. We can do better. We can do better, guys. Come on. I'm not asking for 50,000 likes. We're asking for 36 likes. And I want to share something with you that just happened today. Let me see if I can do it here. We achieved a milestone on YouTube. Where is it? Share this tab. We achieved, come on, where is it? Here. 725,000 views on YouTube. 725,000 views on YouTube since I started the channel. And that makes me so happy. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you. But anyways, so I want to keep going here. Let me just see what you guys are talking about. My comment about people understanding or not. Priscilla says they were taking notes. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for the 48. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Really, really. It's free. Thank you. Love you guys too. Karina says, yeah, I'm the same. I need the visuals to understand. And I switch off if there are loads of numbers. It's off. It's like, I do my best, but my brain just goes away. And I'm like, wow, let me hear that again. Mark says, if the hand is moving, here comes Mark with all the numbers, okay? If the hand is moving at 21 miles an hour, okay, I understand that. The glass would be moving at 21 miles an hour. The glass would be in the driveway, not next to John. Right, I guess. Right. Scott says Sergeant Bars from the Dighton Police Department testified that the taillight only had one missing piece. Any juror that believed him is voting not guilty. And then we have Lucinda. If you get arrested, DUI guy is there for you. He already has the attorney for 2 who have been arrested. Wow. Otto says, Bianca, they need to say Proctor still has the videos that are exculpatory that he has hidden for 3 years. Yeah, but the judge is not going to let any of that in, Otto. You know that. We have to work with what we have. You know what I mean? The judge is like, no, you can't do that. And Otto says, also the videos of Karen's car at her parents' house, the taillight was intact except for one piece. And at 5:07 a.m., when she went to look for John, Officer Barrows, a hero, testified to it. That is true. That is true. So actually, let me clip this because I am going to use this fact that is in evidence when when I finish editing the closing argument and I'm talking about the taillight, because I think it's important that we talk about the taillight because some jurors are going to be asking themselves, what about the pieces of taillight, right? So let's go to this test right here and see what Dr. Wolf has to tell us.
Test D, what is this depicting?
This is a drone video showing a top-down perspective of the test with the Lexus starting on the left-hand part of the screen, accelerating
That's right,
in reverse
Green Eye Lady,
into the
good to
suspended
see you
hybrid
here.
arm over here at the
We
location of the
can
forklift.
read. Amen.
If we can watch this video, please. Do your next slides show, there you go, the suspended arm. What are we looking at here?
So this is a video camera that was positioned on top of the forklift looking down at the arm, so you'll see the vehicle move from bottom to top as this video plays.
By the way, Dr. Wolf, what are the purple and white lines that we see have predominated? I'm sorry, I was talking over that.
Sorry,
That's okay. What are the purple and white lines that we see?
So those are guidelines to help. I will note that this is kind of like a needle in a haystack. It's very hard to hit this small of a target, so just served as a guideline to reference as we're accelerating rearward into this.
Is this in real time?
This is in real time, yes.
What's the speed that the vehicle is entering the frame at?
29 miles per hour.
Thank you.
Wow.
What happened to the arm in terms of its suspension?
It actually gets ripped off from the mounting location.
Is there a reason you believe physically that arm
It
was
just
ripped off
blew
from the
away.
suspension?
Where's the arm?
centers?
Where's
Well,
the
certainly
arm?
there was enough force to break the tie lines to the forklift.
Was there a test value of those tie lines?
I think they were rated at 150 pounds.
Wow.
What does that suggest in terms of the force that was exerted, just before we get to the other testing, the force that was
Dang.
exerted on the arms to tear off the tie lines?
Well, it indicates that the arm saw at least 150 pounds of force.
Okay. Next slide, please. What are we looking at in this video?
So this is going to be a slow motion video. You'll see the Lexus accelerate in reverse, making contact with the arm. And again, this is the 29 mile per hour impact test.
Okay.
I think that's the one that breaks the taillight, or maybe 31 miles per hour, I think. I love that it's in slow motion. We can
Next slide,
see
please.
everything. It's slow motion.
And what is this?
Priscilla.
This is a video, a high-speed video, so slow motion of
the
test D
video
at
is
29
sped
miles
up
per
at
hour into the ATD
1.25.
arm that is suspended. So you'll see the Lexus enter the
Want me
frame
to
from the right and
want me to
impact the
slow
arm.
it?
Okay.
Let me put it 125. There you go. That's the tail light. Okay. So I think that's the one that people are saying, the people that are thinking that she's not, that she is guilty. They're saying, oh, the ARCCA came and they showed how it would be possible for the arm to break the taillight. But this is at 29 miles per hour. And it's also breaking the interior, not the interior, the inner part, not the outer part of the taillight. So let's keep going with the video.
Is this strike more reflective of what you were attempting to replicate?
Yes, this was a more central impact to the arm, yes.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And what is this?
So this is a high-speed or slow-motion video depicting the test D at 29 miles per hour, just a different perspective than the previous video.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry we're all mad here. We're glad you're here. Please take care of yourself. I hope you feel better.
Next slide. And what are we looking at here?
So this is extracted frames from the high-speed video. So starting out left to right, this is roughly at first contact with the majority of the hand, well, the hand, the majority of the forearm in contact with the liftgate taillight, with a portion of the elbow in contact with the quarter panel taillight.
Can I stop you right there on that far left frame? Does that fairly replicate what you were attempting to approximate in terms of the orientation of the arm versus the taillight?
Yes, more of a central impact compared to that first test at 15, yes.
Is that more or less consistent with what you saw in Dr. Welcher's test where he had his arm in that still shot associated with the geometry of the car?
Sustained.
Okay, I don't understand one thing also regarding these objections. If he is here, okay, Dr. Wolf is here to review Dr. Welcher's evidence or testimony or tests, and he is here to be a rebuttal witness. He's here to say, listen, we did other tests and we don't agree with his opinion. I don't understand why the judge sustains every objection that mentions what Dr. Welcher did. Every time Dr. Wolf is asked, did he have this in his report? Objection, sustained. Did he do this? Objection, sustained. Did he apply this science? Objection, sustained. I don't understand why the judge doesn't allow Dr. Wolf to come here and do what he was hired to do. He's here to say his opinion is no good. Here's why. But he's not allowed to say it. Let's keep going.
Is this consistent with what you were trying to replicate after your review of Dr. Welcher's report?
Yes.
Sustained. Can I ask you differently?
What were you trying to replicate?
Yeah,
or why were you
and
trying
then sustain
to
again.
replicate this at the 29-mile-an-hour test in this particular orientation?
We were trying to see, based upon Dr. Welcher's orientation, what happens to the arm in terms of the acceleration and the damage to the taillight at that configuration at contact.
Okay, next slide, please. What are we looking at?
So this is a photograph depicting the damage to
You guys
the
are like,
liftgate
it's very
taillight
simple.
as well as the
It's
quarter
very
panel
simple.
taillight.
And what do you note in terms of that damage?
So on the liftgate taillight, a significant portion of that thick 5mm red outer lens is fractured and broken off. The underlying diffusers are still in place. There was a small crack in, I believe it was the upper diffuser here. The quarter panel taillight had the clear section damaged with the outer lens missing, along with some fragments from the outer portion of the red part of the lens.
Very
Next slide,
detailed
please.
and specific. Love it.
What are we looking at in this slide?
So this is another photograph depicting the quarter panel taillight. As I indicated, there is portions of the red lens cover missing. The interior diffusers remained largely intact in this test.
Next slide. What is this side-by-side depicting?
This is showing the results of the 29 mile per hour impact test to the test vehicle compared to that of the subject taillight.
So
Given
the
that orientation of
subject
the
taillight
test D,
is
were you
completely
able to
shattered, right? The subject taillight only has like a little piece of red on top and a little speck right here on the bottom right. So it's completely gone. And this is the test subject at 29 miles per hour, and it shattered just these inner portions.
any opinions or conclusions as to whether or not the damage to the subject taillight is consistent with striking an arm at 29 miles per hour?
It was inconsistent.
What's the basis for that opinion, Dr. Wolf?
The test.
The results of this test.
was
And I
that-
love that. The results of this test, because Dr. Welcher is like, oh, the basis of my opinion. It's my opinion. That's the basis of my opinion. So just believe me because I said so. But I love that ARCCA is coming in and just showing the facts. Scott, hopefully the jury is not as dumb as the jury in trial one. Hopefully the jury is not tainted either, free of a planted foreman like trial one. Priscilla is saying, is it me, or by now are the jurors starting to wonder if the judge is contributing to the corruption? I don't know. Let's think how we're supposed to think, right? We're supposed to think that the jury doesn't know anything. The jury hasn't seen anything. The jury doesn't have any suspicion. They're just coming in and watching this as it unfolds in front of them. I think that not initially they would think that, but that as the trial moved on, especially with certain witnesses, they would notice, because it's something I noticed when I didn't have any bias yet. I would be like, oh, that's disparate treatment. Like, she treats the defense one way, but she allows the prosecution to do all these things. And also she will cut the defense off. She was much worse in the trial one. I will admit to that. But I think that especially on these witnesses like Dr. Wolf, where there were 49 objections apparently, and they were all sustained, that it has become clear to the jury that there is something going on with the judge. I think they probably started to suspect, not that they think it's corrupt, not that they think it's a conspiracy. I think they definitely have evidence in front of them to question. I think that's enough. Okay, so that's for Otto. Mark says diffuser light up red. Green Eye Lady, just hope no jurors are bribed. Well, if they are bribed, the worst case scenario is gonna be what? Mistrial, right? Because there is no way that we're gonna get how many? 12 people to vote guilty with this trial. There's just no way. There's just no way, right? So if there's somebody there who won't budge, it will probably be a mistrial, and we'll see what happens. Karina, I hope the defense oversees Jim putting and pulling those jury numbers out. Yeah, they're talking about just having it transparent. I heard from the young jerks when I was watching Mike the other day. Uh, just say that. Just make it transparent. Like, just let us watch the process. Mark says the jury doesn't know what we know. That's for sure. Green Eyed Lady, does anyone really think jurors not watching trial information? Well, that's a great question, my love. I don't want to comment on that, but I have my thoughts. They're not supposed to. They're not supposed to. Auto worst case scenario is a mistrial. Right, right. So let's just finish watching this test here. We're almost done for the day, but we are working, guys. I don't know why my audio is changing without me asking it to change, but I hope it doesn't change for you guys. I saw Scott asking, what else do I cover on this channel? So initially I started doing guided meditation. So it's videos with my voice. I write the script. I think about what I'm going to say based on topics like anxiety or worry or forgiveness. Or also I have motivational videos because I went through a body transformation, weight loss last year. And I have videos like for motivation, how to restart your year, restart your month, tips to do with mindfulness and eating and stuff like that. I do sometimes like how to restart your day, how to deal with difficult people, just regular topics to help us deal with life, mental health, personal development and mindfulness, meditation, stuff like that, because it has helped me a lot in my life. And then I also started doing the trials. Actually started with Karen Reed last year, and then I covered some other trials like Robert Tellis and Lori Vallow and Sarah Boone. I did some of those body language and all other kinds of aspects of all other aspects of those trials. So there are different things, and as you guys keep coming to watch and rewatch, I want your feedback. So whatever you guys like the most is what I'll be working on the most. I'll tell you that this week I am definitely Mark is asking, how do I quit smoking? Well, Mark, you quit smoking one day at a time, one craving at a time. You just say not yet, maybe later, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you just keep working on those meditations, on those breathing techniques, the mindfulness. You change a thought, you move a muscle, you change a thought, you go outside for a walk, you try to replace, because smoking is a behavior, psychological, physical. Your body is used to having that in the hand. So you have to replace it for your brain. You have to be like, okay, every time I want a cigarette, I'm going to get a piece of gum. Every time I want a cigarette, I'm going to drink something I like. I'm going to do not alcohol. Let's not become, but like I'll drink coconut water or juice that I like, or I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to do it. Just not think of it as a forever thing, but just be like, okay, I'm just going to do it for now. I'm just going to do it right now for this hour, for today. And then tomorrow you try again. And then if you go back to your habit, you keep trying, because habits are hard to break, but it is possible. And there's a lot of help out there. So the first thing I would say for anybody wanting to quit anything or wanting to make a big change in your life is you have to make a decision, and you have to have a strong reason for it. You have to have a huge why, because our What I can say for my personal life is that determination and self-will, I think is how you say it, willpower, they do not last, right? So you might have this desire, okay, I want to lose weight, I want to quit smoking, I'm going to quit drinking, I'm going to do it, I want it, I'm going to stop, but that doesn't last. So you really need a real reason, a why that will resonate with you personally in your heart, not because of anybody else. And that will give you that strong emotional strength that you need for when times are hard and when you want to go back to your habit, for you to be strong enough to not. But not saying that, you have to be strong enough, because that's a bad way to put it. Habits are hard to break. They're sometimes, they serve a purpose. And when you are fed up with it and you say, you know what, I don't want to be that kind of person anymore, I want to change, then you look for people who have done that and have succeeded, and you see what they did. I never really quit smoking cigarettes. I have quit smoking other things, but not cigarettes. So I can't really speak on that specifically. But I know that I would look for people who have succeeded doing that, and I would look for what they did, Um, let's see. So let me I want to ask Bob, is like, I want to meditate with Bianca. Well, just go and meditate. There are all kinds of wonderful videos there. We're all mad here. No worst case scenario is Hank convinces 12 people. That is true. But there are a lot of reasons for an appeal here on this specific trial. Third stage navigated. These tests are designed to capture the acceleration on the arm in a 20 millisecond window to calculate max forces on the arm created at the Celiport taillight damage. Otto says, I love mindfulness. Mindfulness is wonderful. Green Eye Lady, great channel. Thank you so much. Leanne says, I replace smoking with mangoes if that helps. I love mangoes so much. We have mango season now in Florida. I just had a big mango yesterday. I'm probably gonna eat another one today. Love it. Corina says, I hope you'll be covering the Kohlberger trial. Oh, yes, indeed, I will, Corina. You know it, girlfriend. Mark says, thank you. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, guys. It's hard. I quit drinking alcohol, and it was hard. Okay. But it's possible. That's what I say. And never give up. Never give up. Lucinda, I've been on a grand jury and 2 juries, and it's impossible not to see what's going on in the news. Right. Mark saying mindset, right? Mindset is everything. Everything starts with the mind. If I tell you that when I lost a bunch of weight, it started from a book I was listening to, and I was like, that's it, that's enough. There are people that I listen and I look up to, like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, some books that I love. There's like the 4 Agreements, there's 5 a.m. Club. There's just so many books that you can. What is the one that with habit stacking? Atomic Habits. So many books that you start listening to the book. Or Jim Rohn is somebody that, if you haven't heard from him, he passed away unfortunately, but he was Tony Robbins' mentor. Listen to Jim Rohn on YouTube for free. He motivates you to really want to change your life. Like when I listen to him, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to give my all in this. I'm going to give my all in that. And it just changes your mindset. And sometimes we need that. So anyways, Green Eye Lady's like, I'm old. I drink, I smoke, and I eat cheeseburgers. Hey, nobody's saying anything about cheeseburgers here, okay? Cheeseburgers are delicious. You live your best life. That's right, Modine. Whatever works for you. I'm just saying, when it becomes something you want to change, then that's different. But if your life is good and it doesn't bother you, enjoy. So let's finish this real quick, this next test here, and we're about
testing conducted in accordance with the scientific literature and generally accepted methodologies in the field of accident reconstruction.
Yes.
Is the damage to the right rear taillight consistent with striking John O'Keefe's arm at 29 miles per hour? When I say the right rear taillight, I mean of the subject vehicle.
Sustained as to that.
Yeah, because you can't
With regard to
say
your opinion
his arm.
concerning whether the subject taillight is consistent with striking an arm at 29 miles per hour, do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes.
Next slide, please. What is depicted in this graph?
So this is looking at the acceleration of the hand in the 29 mile per hour impact test with peak accelerations close to 800 Gs at 2 milliseconds.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, you just have so much more time
What
and
are we looking at
energy
in
when
this
you don't
graph?
drink alcohol.
This is the acceleration of the arm,
Oh, I love
reaching
that book.
peak
Yes.
acceleration of about
That's awesome, Ask Bob.
500 Gs.
That's awesome. Very, very supportive. So
You
I'm
indicate-
trying to find the video, guys. Okay, let me see if this is the one. Okay, the fast one. There you go. 24 miles per hour with the whole body. The whole body. Okay, so this video, I don't know. I hope my sound's not changing for you because it changed in my ear. This video to me could be an issue for the people who are already biased into the guilty area, right? Into that side. Because they might, if they're members of the jury, think, well, but look, he did that 24 miles per hour and he broke the tail light. So that video, I think the defense has to be very clear in explaining what it didn't do. Okay, so let's see how it moves from here. And it doesn't show any injuries to the arm, right? There's no injuries to the hoodie. No injuries. There's no punctures in the hoodie, but it definitely broke the tail light.
Next slide. In this configuration, was the ATD outfitted with the hoodie that you've earlier described?
And
Yes.
that's the point. Okay, it didn't do
At the time
anything
you
to the
outfitted
hoodie.
the ATD with the hoodie in this configuration
Call
before
him
this test
Randy.
E,
He has a name.
did you confirm that the sleeve, the right sleeve, was damaged or undamaged?
After this test?
No, before.
Before, it was undamaged before the test.
Okay. What are we looking at in this slide?
Right,
So-
Mark's saying it's not about the tail light. It's about the arm, right? And the hoodie, that's the point. But I'm thinking, like, this is what the people were posting when we watched this testimony on Friday. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe they are going to say that. So what are we going to do? Otto's like, try salted almonds. I don't think that's the same, but I'm sure that we're going to give Mark all the support and that in a few, he's going to come here and say, listen, guys, guess what? I stopped smoking. Yep. We're going to give Mark all the support. So it's not the tail light. It's about the hoodie not being punctured here, the arms not having any wounds. But I want to say the defense should make a huge point because if I was pro guilty, I would be like, yeah, but, and I think that we should be mindful always of the people who are thinking that, like, how do you speak to that specific member of the jury, right? Bianca, my dad did it with salted almonds and he was a chain smoker. Wow. That's amazing. I didn't know that. See, you're always learning. You're always learning. And the chat is amazing because look at that. If you want to quit smoking, try salted almonds. Okay. Mark saying the people posting are not that smart. Yeah, but we don't know who's going to be in the jury, right? So that's why I'm saying closing arguments should be tight. As Bob, the damage to the taillight at 24 miles is inconsistent with the state's picture of the taillight. Right. Green Eye Lady, found you by accident, subscribing. Thank you, Green Eye Lady. We're so glad to have you here. You're going to love our chat. We're amazing. What the chat's bay.
So
Okay,
this is still frames from the high speed. So starting
let's
out on the
just see
left
this
here,
last
just
one
at
here.
contact. So the forearm making contact with the liftgate taillight, and then the upper part of the forearm and the elbow making contact, a direct hit into the quarter panel taillight. And the middle here is just after contact. And on the right is
After
post-contact.
contact.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
No, thank you, Alan Jackson. Thank you.
What are we looking at in this video or in this picture?
So
Yes,
this is a
Priscilla,
overall photograph
hopefully.
depicting the taillights subsequent to this test at 24 miles per hour. I will note that there's no damage to the liftgate taillight, and then there is damage to the quarter panel taillight.
Is there any damage to the internal diffusers on this taillight?
So if I go to the next photograph, if I may.
Please.
So you can see here there is a this kind of thicker, it's actually not a crack. So I'm looking at the clear diffuser here with the dots that you see. This line that you see, kind of opaque. I don't know if you've got a laser pointer.
Canton MA?
Yes.
Just so there's no confusion, thank you. So the line right here that's part of the assembly. So that's just a part of how the plastic is molded. There's a very small crack right here in the underlying diffuser, but all of the remaining part of the diffuser in terms of this portion here and here are all intact, and same with this portion of it.
What about the chrome piece that's running between the diffusers?
I don't believe that was damaged during this test, no.
And what about the clear acrylic toward the top left of that taillight housing?
It was partially fractured, but not the entire
no, Mark. We
outer
love
portion
you.
of it.
It's totally fine.
Next
I
slide,
like
please.
being off topic sometimes.
What is this depicting?
So this is a photograph depicting the quarter panel taillight subsequent to the 24-mile-an-hour impact test with the ATD arm compared to that of the subject taillight.
Based on this test, were you able to reach any opinions and conclusions as to whether the damage to the subject taillight is consistent with striking John O'Keefe's arm at 24 miles an hour?
Sustained in that form.
What do you mean?
Were you able to reach any opinions and
because John
conclusions as to
O'Keefe,
whether the damage
okay.
to the subject taillight is consistent with striking an arm at 24 miles
He
per
has
hour?
to say it all again.
Based upon the test results, it's inconsistent with striking an arm.
Why do you, on what do you base that opinion?
On this
I
test.
base it upon the
I
test
just
results
showed you.
that I've shown in terms of the video and the data acquisition.
Right.
Can you describe that in a little bit more detail?
So during this test, we had the instrumented hybrid arm outstretched from the test dummy with the accelerometer on the hand and the forearm. We had data acquisition on the vehicle, monitoring the speeds of the vehicle. We accelerated that vehicle into the arm at 24 miles an hour to conduct a dynamic impact test to collect data certainly about the acceleration that the arm experienced, but then also make observations about the damage that we observed to the taillight.
Do you hold that opinion that we've just discussed to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty?
Yes.
And were your tests conducted in accordance with methodologies that are generally accepted in the field of accident reconstruction in this particular test cycle?
Yes.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at in this series of photos?
So these are photographs depicting, excuse me, the test clothing. Again, prior to the test, there were no holes or damage
That's
to
the
the
big
sweatshirt.
point
That was
of
the same
his
post-test. We did not see make any
demonstration.
observations with respect to any fraying, holes, punctures to the material of the sleeve.
Was there any damage whatsoever observed on the right sleeve of that ATD?
No.
Next slide, please. What are we looking at in terms of this graph?
So what you're looking at in this graph is the acceleration of the hand reaching a peak acceleration
Should I skip the graph, or you guys understand the
after
graph?
10 milliseconds of approximately 435 Gs.
Next slide. What are we looking at here?
This is the acceleration of the arm during this 24-mile-an-hour impact test, reaching peak Gs of about 300 at 4 milliseconds.
I'm gonna fast forward here because I want to
Rescue
see
Randy
the
suspended
29 mile.
here by the forklift, and again, kind of in the path of the profile at that right rear corner.
How much does this test dummy weigh?
Approximately 200 pounds.
Okay, good.
Next slide, please.
That's comparable to the
are we looking
victim,
at in
and
this
he's
photograph?
also
So this is a
full
video.
dummy here, not
We
just the
had
arm.
a little bit of a false start, so our high speeds weren't triggered, but thankfully we were able to pull our surveillance video to get at least an overall video of the test taking place.
Do you have, let me ask you that. Did you intend to have high-speed video just like you had in every other test?
Yes.
What went wrong? Something?
Just
didn't get-
miscommunication between the driver and the rest of the test engineers.
Got it.
So false start.
Okay. Was the taillight housing reassembled for this test?
Yes, it had a preconditioned new set of taillights on it.
And other than the taillight
All
being
right, let's
damaged
see the test,
several times that
Alan.
we've seen, was there any other damage to the rear of that exemplar vehicle?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Other than the tail.
Damage were noted.
Okay.
I want to
The
see.
blue, that's dry ice gloves.
Yeah, you can't. You don't want to touch dry ice with your bare hands. So it's
No, you
yeah, he's
don't.
wearing gloves. He's capturing the thermal images now.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Love the level of detail that ARCCA has demonstrated to us. Absolutely amazing. Real
Next slide,
crash
please.
daddies. These are the real crash daddies.
And what are we looking at in this?
So these are extracted frames from that video you just saw from the data acquisition system. So on the left here is just before contact between the test dummy and the Lexus. On the right is just at contact.
Next slide, please. And what are we seeing in these series of photos?
So this is obviously during the collision sequence. The body now has loaded into the lift gate and the back window. What you're seeing here is the back window shattering. And this is just a few split second later in time where, again, the body is continuing to move with the vehicle as it's
the
contacted.
back window shattered?
And what is this?
Wow.
This depicts the post-impact damage to the rear of the Lexus.
And look at the
as I noted, the rear
body
window
of
is
the
completely
SUV as
shattered.
well.
There's deformation and crush to the liftgate section of the vehicle. The bumper step was popped out, and then there was some minor fracturing in the bumper cover at the lower level.
Wow.
Did you note anything regarding the internal components of the exemplar taillight, even if this direct impact?
So the taillight, as you can see, it blew out the outer lens cover.
Right.
I believe part of the
yes.
clear diffusers were actually still in place. I think the lower one might have been fractured here, but I think the upper one was still in place.
At 29 miles an hour with a direct impact, did the exemplar taillight exhibit the same type of damage to the diffuser as the subject taillight?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
More or less damage in this photo to the diffuser specifically than in the subject taillight?
Well, I think there was more in the subject
More
taillight, as I
damage.
mentioned. I believe the top diffuser
More
of this was
damage?
In the
Correct.
tail
Okay.
lights.
That was my question.
All right. Well, you
And
wanted
is there
to
another
talk.
slide on the back end of this one?
That's it.
Okay, we can have the lights. Dr. Wolf, you conducted tests at what miles per hour? Tell me the sequence.
It would be 10 miles per hour, 17 miles per hour, 15 miles per hour, 29 miles per hour, 24 miles per hour, and then a full-on hit at 29 miles per hour.
Okay. So the allegation of the Commonwealth is 24 miles per hour, correct? 1232, 24 miles per hour. Please confirm because you guys know everything. And then let's see if he does that one next.
Regarding all of the tests you conducted, what did you observe with regard to the damage, if any, to the internal components of the quarter panel taillight? And I'm talking about the chrome pieces and the diffusers.
It was less in all of the tested taillights than that of the subject taillight.
Did you reach any opinions or conclusions as to whether the damage to the right rear taillight of the subject 2021 Lexus is consistent with an impact to John O'Keefe's right arm during a high-speed reversing maneuver?
Sustained in that form, Mr. Jackson.
Did you reach any opinions
Brennan,
or conclusions as to whether the
seriously.
damage to the right rear taillight of the subject vehicle is consistent or inconsistent with an impact to a right arm during a high-speed reversing maneuver?
It was inconsistent.
What's the basis for that opinion?
All of the test data that we did from the laboratory testing, moving up to full-scale vehicle testing, all of the collected data in terms of the photographs, the observations, all the acceleration data collected. So all of the testing that we've walked through in this PowerPoint, along with certainly that was based upon all generally accepted and peer-reviewed methodologies in the accident reconstruction community.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty based on your experience, training, and education?
Yes.
Did you reach any opinions or conclusions as to relating to the punctures of holes in the hoodie that you saw that was related to John O'Keefe?
Yes.
Do you have an opinion or conclusion as to whether or not the damage that you saw to the hoodie related to John O'Keefe is consistent or inconsistent with a impact from a right rear taillight of the subject SUV?
It was inconsistent.
And what do you base that opinion on?
Based upon all of the impact testing that we did with the clothed ATD arm in the laboratory as well as the field.
In any of the testing that you did you ever see taillight pieces cut, puncture, or fray the sleeve of that hoodie?
No.
The exemplar hoodie, I should say.
Interesting.
Correct.
Let me
Did you
write
reach any
that
opinions or
down.
conclusions as to whether the rear taillight of the subject SUV was involved in a center of
Any
mass
of the tests,
strike
no
of a
punctures
pedestrian
of the hoodies.
at a high-speed rearward maneuver?
Yes.
What is your opinion?
That the damage to the subject Lexus is inconsistent with a center of mass hit.
What do you base that opinion on?
The testing that we conducted in that last test that you just saw.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, Dr. Wolf?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Awesome. 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 And then unfortunately, cross-examination starts and Hank is evil. Hank is evil. Hank is so evil. For real. Mark saying this is just setting up for the next doctor to tell us about the arm. Case closed. Otto. Yep. We're going to hear from Dr. Rentschler, not to be confused with Dr. Welcher. Dr. Welcher is the arrogant bastard that we heard from. Dr. Rentschler is from ARCCA, and he's going to come to testify about the injuries. The injuries. So Otto says, and supposedly thrown over 50 feet, but they keep changing the speed, and there's no way any taillight would get to the lawn or John. John would have been on the ground behind the Lexus slide. Priscilla, I can't believe they can't show some pictures of dog bites on forearms. Looks like John's injuries. Yeah, the Commonwealth witnesses can bring other cases, other pictures of cars, of injuries, but then the defense can't. You see how this works. But anyways, so guys, I am working on cool videos. I'm working on I'm still working on the closing argument, which is gonna take a while. But I'm also working on this video on the judge, and I think you guys are gonna love that very much when it's ready. So thank you for hanging out. Thank you for hanging out this afternoon. I'm so excited. We got 725,000 views in the channel since it began, since the inception, and our little live community is growing, and I'm so happy to have you guys here. Please have yourself a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Eat some delicious food. Enjoy your pets if you have them, your family, your friends. Maybe go out for a walk in nature and just enjoy yourself. I'm so happy and honored that you guys chose to spend your time with me this afternoon. So I'll see you guys next Sunday for sure from 3 to 5. And if we get a witness this week that deserves a body language video, I will be watching and I will be getting on that right away. So have a wonderful day and have a great day, guys. See you next time.